just out of a marriage or a long-term relationship, trying to figure out what to do, want to go back to dating or want to go back to her. I will share my thoughts in this video, what I did and what has been a life changer for me. First, let me be very clear here. The last relationship that I came out of, I ended it. I came out of it, and that nearly killed me. I'll explain a little bit more in this video. And also, I know today that the description of what happened in that relationship, how that relationship was, a narcissistic relationship would be a perfect description. I'm not going more into this in this video, but I might do other videos if you want to. I don't know how many men experience this. I know a lot of women speak about it, narcissists. But if you want to, let me know in the comments, and I'll have that in mind. A narcissistic relationship, yeah. So anyway, if you are out of a relationship long term, I know that it can be painful. If you are out of a relationship also long term, but that's been painful in the relationship, might not be it's narcissistic, maybe you think it was, but it was just painful and it was not the right thing for you. I'll just tell you that I totally understand the frustration, the confusion, the pain, the how devastating it is. I totally understand it. I did a video on the channel here about that relationship of mine and the breakup, and I did that, and I call it the worst thing that I did after. And that was actually after my divorce. And short version here is the worst thing was that I met a very beautiful lady and I got so attracted just after ending the divorce. That was the worst thing that I did. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what I did after that narcissistic relationship, how it's ended up being a life changer for me. So I also want to say that if you watch this video to the end, I salute you, because this is not a 10-second TikTok video. It's not a quick fix reel, Instagram, whatever, 20 seconds. This is how you change your life thing. It's not fancy. It's not a lot of shiny things. It's not a lot of boom, boom, boom. Maybe there are little shiny things, but if you are with me to the end, high five, man. High five. My name is Michael, last name is Plusek, and I live in the north of Europe in a little capital called Copenhagen. Maybe you heard of it. It's in Denmark. I'm soon to be 52 years old. I live with my daughter, who is soon to be 14 years old. She is with me most of the time. And why am I here with you? Well, I woke up some years ago after that. Actually, it was a total of around 15 years of relationship. And when I look back, and I believe today that those two devastating relationships also have a huge impact on it, it was kind of like all of my life energy was sucked out of me. And I woke up doing the stuff that I'm sharing with you in this video. I woke up a few years ago and it was like, what the heck is going on here? My body was not the same. I had pains around in the body, and when I was going out of the bed in the morning, I was like, what's going on here? I had to kind of roll myself out of the bed. And what I also experienced was that my energy, it wasn't the same as it was before. My mood was not the same. My brain was not the same. It was like I didn't really remember things anymore. And again, I woke up and I began to, when I got out of the thing, when I did the thing that I'm sharing with you in this video, I was like, what's going on? And I got to understand, for me, that what happened was midlife. Midlife happened. And midlife, what I learned also was it's defined as life in our 40s, 50s, 60s. And I'm speaking to men here. I'm a man, I can relate to men. And maybe you can relate to this: the body, the physique, the health, the mind, the brain, the mood, the energy, the man. It's not the same. So I rised after the relationship and after the big breakup, and I became, and I'm still more and more, and maybe even a little bit obsessed sometimes, but in a good way, making sure that I now, for the first time in my life, from the inside, am living my life as I wanted, not as a partner wanted, not as a parent wanted, yeah, not as a boss wanted, not as society wanted, but as I wanted. And also, it's kind of a mission for me to make the next years my best years. So yeah, let me know how that feels for you. And it's a choice. I mean, it is a choice. We are, if you are in the same age, we're in a part of our life where we got the all the things against us, but it's still a choice, making sure with all the things, with all the knowledge we have, why not make it the best years ever in our life? So if you want to join me in that, at the minimum, subscribe and hit the bell here, and because then you will see when the next videos are showing up. For now, I'm sharing the things that I learned, what worked for me, what didn't work, and it's especially coming out of that devastating relationship and figuring out for me, who am I? What do I want now in this thing called life? I mean, I don't know about you, but I experience that it's kind of like it's going faster and faster. And even though sometimes I stop and think I have to live more, even though I've been sitting and looking into a wall for days, I was still like, what happened? Where did the time go? Can you relate? So, all right, back to the topic of the video here. What did I do after that devastating relationship that nearly killed me? And I'm going to share the things here. So I'm going to share the three things that happened first to me. But number three is this thing that's the life changer, and it's also the thing that I really invite you to. I know maybe first time we hear this, it might not be that. What does it mean? What that doesn't make sense or anything. But I invite you to be open about this and really hear the words and maybe even see the video again here. So first thing that I did, for the first time in my life, I cried. I cried before, but this time I cried. I've been for so many years holding tears back. And I can speak openly about it now. I couldn't a few years ago when I was a businessman in my suit and rocking after the goals. I was not able to be vulnerable to myself or to others. And I realized that the reason I was not was because of my upbringing. And if you're the same age as me, maybe you can relate to this. I know that time has changed, at least for some, and at least some regions of the world we live in on Earth here. But I was brought up, if I hurted myself, if I fell down from a tree or scratched my knee or something like that, and I remember from some of the things that I've done with myself, looking into all of this, I remember coming home with tears in my eyes to my mother and saying it hurts. And I'm not putting blame on anyone here. Things are as things are. But the fact is that what would have been a very good situation was a loving, caring mother who gave me a big hug and let me cry and gave her my warmth and all of that. The fact is that what came out was more like, boys don't cry. Take your tears away, sub it in, go out and play. And again, I'm not blaming anything here, anyone, and I know I'm not the only one who experienced this. So I've also heard of dads doing the same. It doesn't matter. The fact is that if we learn, what I learned as a kid is if I have pain, bite my jaws together and suck it in. So imagine after trying this a few times as a little kid, pain, bite your teeth together, suck it in, and go out and play or go out and get your goals. I got programmed, and if you can relate to this, you got programmed maybe the same way. Maybe you a little difference or nuances for you, but that's what happened. So many years of my life, I did not cry. Every time there was pain, I stood up. I took my knees together. So it was actually like I have, maybe you've seen this on some people, it was like my jaws, the muscles or whatever it is. It was very visible that, okay, and all the cranium up here was tense. So when I started releasing all of these things, I kind of like, okay, where's my headache now? Where is my headache now? Wonder why a person has headache if we are biting our pain inside, right? And also the same thing here. I'm going a little, that's why it's not TikTok here, but if we at the same point, if what happens also is that we would have the ideal situation would be love and caring and hugs and all of this. And if we don't get it, well, we learn that, okay, I'm not going to go there for asking for this. So I'm going to figure out another way of getting that attention. And that's how we're brought up, all of us, in some way or the other. So back to my situation here. The first thing that happened was that I cried. I cried a couple of times in my life, but this time after that relationship, I had a few weeks of crying. And I mean, snot coming out of me, stuff coming out of me. I was like, my whole body was like this. But the fact was that I let it happen this time. So, and I don't know how many years, but maybe 40, 45 years of living on this earth and holding all those tears every time something was tough, holding all those tears inside because that's how I was brought up. All of those relationships not working, all of those business stuff not working, all of those, even funerals with black glasses on, right? And not to cry. It all came out. It all came out. There was more, but a lot came out. Let me say it like that. So, and again, feel free, share your story in comments, share your story if you're ready to do this, and I invite you to do this. The next thing, those are the two first things that happened in quite short time. The next thing was when I was finished with the worst crime, and this, as I learned now, is mostly because it was, as I said, a narcissistic relationship. So my mind was fucked up. It was fucked up. I didn't know what was up and down. Honestly, I didn't know what to say. I couldn't even speak, really speak. So bad was it at the time. And I really felt like everything was falling apart. I had no clue what was up and down. So the second thing I did was I took up my phone and I called. Can you guess who? Not my mother, right? Because I learned, and I didn't know who to call, and everything was like really, 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 really. I had no clue what was going on. I called the suicidal hotline. That's it. And I'm not ashamed about it. That's why I speak about it publicly. But the fact is that that call was kind of like, when I look back, it was like a 10-15 minute call or something. I have no clue. I don't really remember what happened on the call. But the fact was that obviously trained person in the other end knew how to calm me a little down, asked a couple of questions, and also listened to me. Again, I have no clue what was going on. But what happened when I look back, the picture I have was kind of like I could breathe a little. I felt like, okay, I'm here. There was another human being here, and she understood me. I think it was a woman. So that's the first two things. Now come number three. This is the big thing here. This is the big thing. So the most important thing, the life changer, was that I took the time. I took the time for the first time in my life, 40, 45 years old, however old I was. I took the time. Some of the words, I took the time to heal. I took the time to, what I didn't do was not talk to women. I didn't try to go out and live my life. I didn't try to build another business. I didn't try to make my email box empty every day. I didn't try to look through a lot of TikTok videos. I didn't try to put myself into any new adventure, which has been my life. And I do know, I also want to say this, that some are teaching, some tells after a breakup, and I remember I Googled this, after a breakup, go out and find a new one. Just heal that way. The fact is, for me, and if you can relate to this, I really invite you to take the words in here, the energy behind the words in. The fact is that going out and into a new relationship, it's kind of like not really figuring out who am I after all of those years of relationship, and what do I want? Who am I? What do I want? I mean, we've been together with a partner for so many years. Maybe have kids together, family together. Maybe it was a very devastating partnership, relationship as mine was. But coming out of that, who am I and what do I want? So, not trying to fix anything, not trying to do anything, but making it a purpose for me. Be with me. Be with me. And this is something that, from my experience, I've been coaching since 2012, and I've seen this. So, and I spoke with a lot of people of these things, and I helped a lot of people with these things. We do so much to numb ourselves, and I did for all of those years, numb ourselves from not feeling all of those feelings inside that we don't like or we don't prefer, or that's pain or hurts. That was my number one. Be with myself. Be with myself. Be with the pains. Be with the emotions that showed up for the first time in my life. Not shutting down, keeping up, going for the goal, or play on the football field, anything like that. be with those emotions. And I know many people will not speak about this. Many people will say, well, it's a quick fix and you just do like this. And I even heard the other day someone saying it's just a 30-minute session and it's all done. From my perspective, now I had a childhood. I think I did a video before, but I'm gonna do a new video at a time about that, with a lot of incidents that modeled me, and a lot of incidents that hurt me in those young years of my life, and take in the fact that I was not able to cry. I could not express my emotions. So it was all in the system here, in my body here. And that came up. It still comes up sometimes. The thing is now, and I understand it, and I look at it in a total different way than I did before all of this, before my life-changing things here. So emotions kept coming up, and I tell you, some of those emotions were so painful that I understood why I bited nails for so many years. I understood why I had a lot of my years where I've never been an alcoholic. I told myself, but years where I had to have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drinks of wine or a couple of beers or something like this. It was just nice. But the fact was, it was also part of numbing those feelings. I'm speaking the truth here. It's coming from here, all right? So, as I said, this is not a TikTok. Emotions that I tried to escape for so many years. And this was my life changer. And also, I heavily invested myself in, since 2012, in personal development. I've been with some of the biggest names on earth. I traveled around the earth. I met a lot of awesome people and all of this. But even though I invested more than 200,000 US dollars in my own growth, even though I've been with a lot of the biggest mentors, and even though I myself helped a lot of people with all that I learned, I also understand today that still inside of me, there was something that called for my attention. So even today, I have like this view that all of that was also kind of numbing those things. It was a call for something inside of me that wanted to be listened to. That child that from my first years on the earth that really wanted just to be acknowledged, just to have fun, just to feel love and care and all those things that would be wonderful. There was a part of me inside that for so many years tried to scream, that's what I want. But there was another part of me that learned, go hard, work for it, you're tough, you can do it. And that's a conflicting thing, right? So again, just gonna say it again here. My first thing, and I hope this helped you. I hope you can use this to something. I know I'm speaking very honestly here, and yeah, that's how it is. I just feel like sharing it. I do know that there's a lot of hurt out there. So the first thing after crying, after calling the suicidal hotline, was be with me, not trying to fix anything. And even when something came up, oh, I need to do this, I was really, and this was a tough one for me. I was really, okay, why do I need to do this? What part of me is it that want to do this? Okay, this is a pattern. This is something that I learned through my teens or through my 20 years of age, where I went into a career and I really had to. But something inside of me needs my attention. Be with me. Don't try to fix anything. Be with the pains, be with the emotion showing up, whatever that is. All right. And again, I felt it all. And I understand why for so many years I had to numb all of this. And I stopped numbing it. I stopped going out. I stopped trying to live my life. I stopped speaking with other people that actually understood some of the people, some of the conversations that I had before this life changing thing. Some of those conversations were just to not feel something inside of me. I felt bored, but no, something below that wanted my attention. It wanted to come out, but instead of feeling that, speaking, doing things that I didn't even want to do. Can you relate to this, huh? Nasty feelings I didn't want to feel. Nasty feelings my system wasn't able, didn't know how to handle, didn't know what to do with. So I stopped all of this. I really was like, everything coming up, if I'm doing something, is this because I'm kind of numbing something? Or is it because something inside of me really feel like doing this? And that's a very, very, for me at least, it was a very gray area because I have never in my life really learned to listen to those parts inside of me. I could go on and on and on and on and on. The most important thing here was me being with me. So when someone asked me, what did I do to change my life in such a big way? That's it. Number one was being with myself and everything that came up. And I also understood and discovered that what was going on, it was much deeper than my mind could understand. And the fact is, I did a training for some clients around this, but many people know that it's only 5 or 10% of what's going on in our whole system here in our mind that is actually consciously. The rest is in the unconscious, meaning we can't see it, we don't know it's there. And so all of those experiences that we couldn't handle, all of those breakups or things we had in our really early childhood, all of those things where we were in pain. Maybe we even got fooled or laughed at, or got, what's the word for that? When somebody is really after us, what's the word? Put that in the comments. I can't remember the word. Anyway, bullied. That was bullied. All those things. All those things in the subconscious. If it was heavy enough, part of our system just locked it in us in there, trapped. So that's the next thing. That's the transformation into liberation that I learned in different ways and different techniques what to do. So some call it letting go, and some call it energy transformation. And the most important thing for me to share here was really that, with being with me. And also, as I experience it today, when something not nice is coming up, I still like, okay, being curious about it and seeing if I can still take the time, because it's kind of a part of us want to not feel it, so it want to keep us distracted from it. So still, that's what I'm doing. And again, it's from the subconscious, so it's things that we're not aware of. And I do know that all of us have our own story, our own situation. And so, as I say, it might not be the same solution that fits all, but the one thing that I do know today that is very, very powerful, and I've never heard of someone who didn't get something good out of this, was really being with me. Who am I? And also, if you want to, I've thought about, okay, maybe I should create some special video or training or something, how I was able to liberate myself from those really trapped childhood emotions, trapped energy from traumas, from incidents, from experiences that was too much to handle for a little kid. And all of that energy is in there, keeping us down. Learning those things, and I'm not saying it easy anyway. As I said, this is not TikTok fancy schmancy, smushy hushy boom boom thing, but it's a liberation process. And when when we learn this, I've experienced, I can do it myself, but I also experienced that when I found the people who could help me with letting go of these things, with transforming the energy, it happened much easier, much faster than me sitting with it for 2, 3, 4, 5 days. So I am helping people doing these things today. Again, if you want to, I can create a training or something like this, maybe a video, it's difficult to put this in writing, but let me know in the comments. Just let me know if you want a special video or training. And if enough people want it, I will look into that. All right. And again, if you want to, if something comes up for you from your own story, feel free. I invite you really to share your story below, and maybe even how you're feeling right now. I know sometimes when we share these things, I did a video some years ago about some of my childhood things, and it was an emotional video. And probably I'm going to do more of these, because what happens is that if we have something inside of us, I learned this myself also, and I began to see, okay, why am I feeling this when I'm watching this movie or listening to that song? Why I'm being sad or why I'm being happy? And I began to understand that. So sharing some of those stories might, I'll say trigger, but this is not positive, not negative, but it might trigger something inside of you. But the fact is, from all that I spoke about in this video here, is that if that happens, it's in there and it's holding us down. It is coloring our world. And probably if it's what feels like negative emotions or not feeling good emotions, it's something that colors our world in some black or some gray or some kind of depressed or negative, filtering it. That's maybe a better way of saying it. So I don't even know why I said this. It's flowing out of me. I got a few notes and it's just flowing out of me here. So again, I invite you, just feel free to share. That was what I wanted to say. And that's also part of the process here. All right. I promised you this was not a TikTok. It's not a TikTok video. And if you're still here, again, I will send you right now. I send you some love. I send you some loving energy coming from here. And I also invite you to think about this. Be curious about this. That could it be that this is the time in your life that something is calling for me, like it did for me, to live a more free, a more liberated life, to really live a life where I feel like, wow, this is really, really awesome to be here. Could it be it's time? And even though the place we're at right now, you're at right now, might be it hurts, might be it's not like I want my life and all of this, could it be that they're actually on the other side of all of those things that's locked inside of you? Could it be that something amazing is right there for you? See you.